Hey everyone, look, if you're here today, I know you're a focused learner. You're looking for that direct, unfiltered truth, right? Well, today's explainer is going to be a little bit different. We're not digging into a standard data set or some dry academic paper. Instead, we're unpacking a really powerful source that condenses 9 whole years of hard-won realizations into just one unapologetic wake-up call. We're talking about 10 deeply uncomfortable truths about life. The kind of truths that are super easy to ignore, but absolutely vital to confront if you actually want to move forward. I'm honestly thrilled to guide you through this, so get comfortable, pay close attention, and let's break down exactly what these realizations mean for your daily life.
Okay, let's dive into this. The source hits us with a harsh reality right out of the gate, and it's a question we really all need to ask ourselves. Honestly, how often do we put off our biggest goals just because the timing isn't perfect? The truth here is brutal. If you spend your time waiting for that magical, quote-unquote, suitable moment to finally arrive, you're pretty much guaranteeing that you're going to waste your entire life. The source is absolutely uncompromising on this point. If you wait, literally nothing will happen. That perfect moment? Yeah, it's a total myth designed to keep you safe and, frankly, stagnant. Realizing this is the very first step to breaking out of that paralysis.
And to understand exactly why we fall into that waiting trap in the first place, we have to look at our environment. Which brings us to Section 1, the trap of comfort and expectations. I just want to let this next statement hang in the air for a second. Salary is a drug given to make you forget your dreams. Wow. This is easily one of the most provocative truths we're looking at today. It challenges us to look at our regular paycheck as not just compensation, but almost like a form of sedation, right? It gives you just enough comfort, just enough security to totally numb the pain of unfulfilled ambition. When you're comfortable, you just kind of stop striving. You end up trading the massive, risky pursuit of what you actually dreamed of doing for this predictable monthly dose of financial security. And the crazy part is it's a transaction that happens so slowly, most of us don't even realize we've made it.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact friction we face when we finally try to break out of that comfort zone. Just look at the contrast here. The source defines focusing on your dreams as literally the hardest mission on earth. It requires extreme mental fortitude. But on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, the absolute simplest thing you can do is complain. Complaining takes zero effort, zero risk, zero action. It is the lazy, easy path. When things get tough, human nature just naturally gravitates toward the simplest task, which usually means voicing dissatisfaction instead of putting in the agonizing work required to actually build something great.
So, let's say you decide to actually take that hard path. Well, get ready, because that triggers Section 2, the social cost of your growth.
This next one is probably the most controversial boundary drawn in the entire source material. Even if you trust your friends and family, don't tell them anything about yourself. Wait, what? Why on earth would you hide your goals from the people you trust the most? Well, it's because when you're on a massive growth journey, your energy is super fragile. Even well-meaning friends and family, the people who love you, can accidentally project their own fears, their own limitations, and their own desire for comfort right onto you. So this truth, it's a radical measure for self-preservation. It's all about fiercely protecting your ambitions from external doubt until they are strong enough to stand on their own 2 feet.
Now, what's genuinely wild about this is the sheer, uncompromising statistical reality the source presents. 99%, yep. The truth is, you will likely lose 99% of your friends the moment you actively start improving your life. Because when you change, you essentially hold up a mirror to the people around you. Your new discipline highlights their lack of it. Your ambition shines a massive spotlight on their complacency. You see, most relationships are built on shared habits and shared comfort zones. The second you break those habits to level up, that common ground completely vanishes. And honestly, the vast majority of those friendships will just inevitably fall away.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our next crucial milestone, age 30. The source actually marks this specific number as the major turning point where your social expectations absolutely must undergo a drastic permanent change. The people who actually survive that 99% drop-off, that final 1% who remain in your circle, they need to align with a very specific new reality as you hit this stage of life. By the time you reach 30, the source insists that your remaining inner circle must prioritize this specific triad: earning money, taking care of their bodies, and their family. That's it. Gone are the days of just aimless socializing and hanging out for the sake of hanging out. If the people around you aren't intensely focused on building financial stability, keeping their physical health in check, and nurturing their families, well, they're basically anchoring you to the past. This triad is exactly what a mature, growth-oriented inner circle looks like.
All right, having navigated those external traps and social circles, we need to turn inward for Section 3, the path to inner maturity.
Consider this crazy multiplier, 10 times. The source states, point blank, that you can instantly become 10 times happier through one specific internal action: forgiving your parents and stopping the cycle of blaming them for your personal problems. Now, as long as you hold on to those childhood grievances, you are basically surrendering your own agency. Blame is an anchor. It just drags you down. But the moment you accept that your life right now is entirely your own responsibility, you sever that anchor. And the resulting jump in your baseline happiness and freedom is just exponential.
And that leads directly into this brilliant, simple definition of true emotional maturity. It's just the ability to become wiser by learning not to take anything to heart. Think about it. Life is just full of constant friction, interpersonal drama, and tiny little slights. Immaturity is reacting to every single one of them. True maturity, though, it acts as this ultimate psychological shield. When you stop taking the actions and words of other people personally, you conserve massive amounts of mental energy. And guess what? That energy can now be directed right back toward that hardest mission on Earth, your dreams.
So the crucial point is how we actually implement all of this stuff. The source exposes a really major illusion here. On one side, you have reading 100 books on self-development, and on the other, raw self-discipline and action. We do this all the time. We trick ourselves into thinking that passive learning, like buying yet another self-help book or binging a tutorial, is the exact same thing as making actual progress. But it isn't. The uncomfortable truth is, you don't need 100 books. You already know what you need to do. What you're lacking isn't information. It's the raw, unglamorous, roll-up-your-sleeves discipline to just take action.
Which brings us to the final, really heavy provocation of today's explainer. I want you to ask yourself this honestly. Are you staying in toxic relationships just because you fear being alone? Whether it's a romantic partner, a completely draining friend, or even a toxic work environment, we so often choose familiar misery over the unknown void of being alone. But as we've learned today, real growth requires shedding whatever is holding you back, even if it means you have to walk alone for a while. I really want you to deeply reflect on your own interpersonal compromises as we wrap up today. Are you trading your massive potential for the false comfort of bad company? Think hard about that, apply these uncomfortable truths to your life, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.